Welcome back, Blue Raider Nation, to our Blue Raider Breakdown postgame show. I'm Emmy Fazenbaker, and I have Joe Dubin here with me with the Blue Raider Network, the voice of the Blue Raider Network. Thanks for joining me.
Always, no problem.
Well, the team is coming off a 42-28 loss against the Marshall Thundering Herd. But first, I want to just hear your thoughts on what you think really happened there on the gridiron tonight and just what ultimately unfolded for them to take this loss.
Well, you had the 2 hour and 15-minute weather delay, which was terrible. You can't plan for that, but I'm glad it happened early in the game because had it happened like in second quarter, third quarter, you had the momentum and it throws things out of whack. I don't think it affected the game at all because the game had just started when it went on. And you go toe-to-toe, but you look at the game overall and look, if this team was bad, I would sit here and say, bless their heart. They played really hard. It's a good football team. They just keep making dumb penalties, which get in their way. And tonight they had all the momentum, and they were up 28-21. They had stopped Marshall, and then a penalty for leaping. And you give Marshall the ball back. What does Marshall do? Go down and they score, start in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter, Marshall just dominated. 21 points. Middle had nowhere to go. Time of possession was Marshall. You lost the game there, but you're in the game the whole time. That's the frustrating part about this. Same thing it was in Wisconsin for 2.5 quarters. You played really hard in that ball game, but then penalties push you back. And now it's like every time special teams gets on the field, I'm expecting a penalty. And am I doing that? And the players might be expecting a penalty. So you take one step forward, like 3 steps back. Hopefully, once this team puts it all together, they could be pretty good. They just got to put it all together.
And speaking of putting it all together, I mean, finally, 28 points on the board. When they first came out of the weather delay, their first 2 possessions, they scored on both of them, which was incredible, that momentum. I think for Nick Vadiato, he had 7 receivers that I think he hit on as for targets. It's coming together. It's just slowly coming together. Like you said, the penalties is what.
Yeah, it is. And you could look in the second, third quarter, they were having fun. The middle offense was having fun. Marshall, for some odd reason, was playing man coverage all night long, and Nick was just picking them apart, and the running game was going good, and they were having fun. Then they stop them on that third down, and Marshall's got a punt, and then they get the penalty, and they go. It's like you're expecting something, and I hate this. When I played, you always hated it. You expect something bad to happen, and usually it does, and that's what happened tonight.
Well, looking for special teams, though, I mean, that is a highlight. That is something that really came out and was dominating for them. I mean, Ashton Logan punting to the 1-yard line. Jacob Hathaway had the 50-yard field goal, and that was the longest one since 2017. So there are some things that we can talk about that are positive.
Yeah, and they are. And I always like running the ball out of the end zone because that gives you an opportunity to take off. And that one time they took off out of the end zone, nice return like the 27-28, block in the back. Yeah. You had to push it back. So it's always something there. But there are some really good – I think the Middle Tennessee front 4 has played exceptional all year long. Yep. Marshall did – every time Marshall tried to run in the box, they got nowhere. Yep. Like, we're going to run outside, and that's where they get their most success. But the front 7 of MTSU on defense has played really well, and the offensive line has played well. I mean, there's a lot of positives on this football team, but it's the penalties which hold you back. Again, I'm telling you, Amy, once this team puts it all together – they're going to be really, really good. And I see the progress. I see the players. I see the play calling. I mean, there were some amazing play calls that we had tonight versus Marshall, but you got to do those for 60 minutes.
And I think, again, for them, they see that too. I think that's why it's so frustrating for them is because they want it obviously just as bad as anybody else. But now we're turning the page. We're going to Kennesaw State next week. We're starting conference play. And what we talked about in the press conference, all this is going in the rearview mirror now for the players. And for you and what you're thinking about whenever we're going to Kennesaw State, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge, especially starting conference play?
Well, I think Kennesaw State got a big win tonight over Arkansas State at home, so that feels good. I told you earlier, the taste of winning is the greatest taste out there. So they got that tonight. But you go down next week, you just punch them in the face. I mean, you got to go down and play 60 minutes football.
Quite literally.
You got to go down and take it the fight to them. These games they played non-conference. I had a great coach tell me one time, these are icing games. I was like, what? He's like, now conference games are the cake. You build the cake, right? Those are the cake games. Non-conference was the icing on top of the cake. Wow. But you got to get the cake built. And these conference games are cake games. Kennesaw, the Missouri State, then Delaware. Still a lot to play for.
So much.
You're 1-3. You're not 1-11. This team is not a 1-11 team. So you just go out next week, play Kennesaw, put it together, win again, and then next week we got a Missouri State, on and on. So there's a lot of hope here, a lot of good things that are going on. But again, the penalties, the undisciplined penalties that Coach Mason talked about tonight on the radio show, you put them all together, and there's something special. And I just go back. The second and third quarter was fun. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of fun tonight because the guys were having fun, and then something happens.
I think they're just going to continue to build off this momentum and learn from those mistakes. And again, moving on to conference play, there's so much more football left to play, which is exciting. And so thank you so much, Joe, for joining us. And this has been the Blue Raider Breakdown once again. And yeah, guys, Kennesaw State next weekend. And as always, let's go Blue.